It works now, huh?
We are now live. I did advance the slides.
Oh, all right. Tony, I'm gonna need for you to, keep watching for the cues to advance the slides. I'll just sort of give you a. Yeah. And then watch the chat and, you're gonna have to multitask. Doesn't feel like we got a slideshow, right? Welcome, everybody. Come on in to the sober meeting. Next. Keep going, thanks. Welcome, everybody. Arlington Democrats is an open and welcoming committee. I appreciate everyone being here for our October community meeting. And Arlington Democrats is dedicated to electing Democrats up the Denver Valley, engaging with each other with dignity and respect. We've got a pretty packed agenda tonight, a lot of things to go over. First, we're going to have a couple of announcements. Tony, if we get the next slide. Second Saturday breakfast is coming up. Not this Saturday, but next. Both Boys and Poets, we're going to have our constitutional officers and our school board literacy. Hope everybody will come out to Bus Boys and Poets, 9:30 a.m. Tony. Not to be missed, the November breakfast is going to be November 11th, so Veterans Day. Charlie Conrad, our chair of the Veterans and Military Family Caucus. Simply round of applause. It is going to have a panel discussion with Scott Cooper and Jerome Sims. Don't miss it. Also, Congressman Don Beyer is going to have his annual women's conference. It's Saturday, November 4th. So right before you go canvassing on Saturday, be sure to stop by 9 a.m. at George Mason University. And I think the guest speaker is Nancy Pelosi. Next time, so that should be a great event. Yeah.
How do you get tickets ahead of time?
And I did not see a sign up for that, so I'm not gonna get that. We do have at least one officer appointment. We had one officer appointment tonight, and Richard Skinner, if you haven't heard, had a promotion at the Trumbull County office. Very happy for Richard. I think he's been looking for that for some time, but he is now unable to fulfill the role of John Arlington chair. So we have moved Kip Malinowski into that. Do I have a motion to approve?
I don't know you can.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Kip, wherever you are. Outside the public, all right. Tony, let's go to the next slide. All right, now we have a really special report tonight. We're going to welcome up Christian Dorsey, Chair of the County Board. Christian, come on up.
I got to remember what they are. All right. Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing? Oh, come on, people. Come on. Election season, a month ago. Come on, Democrats, you got to be fired up. Well, anyway, I am here to bring everybody down a little bit by telling you about all the things the county board is up to. It's exciting to me, but is it exciting to you? I guess it's only time to tell. Now, as we get to this point in the year, it's a good time to do a report because not only do we have a stacked agenda to really make sure we close out the year strong, but this Q4 is the time where we actually set the stage for a significant amount of work the county board will do among its most important work, setting up the budget for next year. A lot of that will be happening this fall. But all of this exists within an environment where we've got significant headwinds that we are facing. So as we think about all of the areas of concern, I'm just going to highlight a few. Revenue, the way we actually not only fund the government, but fund our priorities, our democratic values, how we make that all happen. We are in an environment where revenues are going to overall be flat. And quite frankly, that's actually good news because where we're seeing weakness is in our commercial market, our commercial office and retail market, which is really cratering at this point. I don't know if any of you are sort of involved in looking at the commercial real estate market, but some of the numbers are staggering. Valuations of office buildings in particular are in some cases down 50%. We have a lot of real estate investment firms that are actually defaulting on a lot of their significant properties. Arlington is not immune to that. But overall, with all of those incredibly stark numbers, our revenue picture in the commercial market is probably not quite as bad as neighboring DC, some other parts of the country, but still nonetheless, it's significant enough that even though all of our other revenue sources are going to be trending up, including residential real estate, overall, we're at best going to be flat. We may even be facing a decline. We also have, with that, expense increases that we cannot walk away from. They are not discretionary. So employee compensation, which is a big deal, and of course we value here in Arlington having growing living standards for our employees, making sure they're able to make what it is they contribute in terms of their productivity and their value. We also have a labor environment, which I'll talk about later, where we have negotiated agreements with many of our employees. And those expected and contractual increases in compensation are are important and they're not going to change. Also, what will not change is an increasing contribution that we will have to make to Metro. We're still working through all the ways in which that's going to happen because those of you who follow Metro funding details know that it's quite complicated. But the short story is we're going to be having to pay more money along with everybody else in the region for transit service. And then, of course, we still have an elevated environment, high interest rates, and inflation, which affects everything that we do. So clearly, you don't need to be an economist to recognize that in an area where your revenues are flat and your expenses are growing, you really have a tough job of putting together your budget priorities to make things work. And then there's also the whole notion that this is Arlington. People don't expect less, they expect more. And they expect more than sometimes you were able to deliver in terms of capacity. And one of the things that limits our capacity is that in a lot of key priority areas, whether it be mental and behavioral health, therapists, public safety, planning, it's difficult to hire folks these days because we still have a very tight labor market, which is a good thing overall, but it's really bad when you're competing for talent. And Arlington, of course, is always endeavoring to get the best possible talent to fill these positions. And it means that there's going to be a mismatch between what our community wants us to deliver and perhaps what we can. We go to the next slide for a little bit. And then we have the ongoing, what I like to call whirlwinds that really have manifested during COVID and continued and are not going away. The most principal one is really what's happening with opioid abuse, substance use disorders. And these are issues that we know are not Arlington specific, but we are not immune. And certainly we have catastrophic headlines such as the death of our children from opioid overdoses. I want to be very clear though, those incidents, as tragic as they are, and they are tragic, full stop, they really obscure what is an ongoing epidemic that affects people who don't actually die. And this issue is not one in one Arlington community or part of one school community, it's throughout Arlington. And this is something that if we could deploy a magic program, if we could allocate a certain number of dollars and make it stop and abate it, obviously we would have done it. But it's a whirlwind because it's going to require not only government actions, it requires parent involvement, and it involves community leaders and getting everybody to be pulling in the same direction and working on behalf of those who are vulnerable in our community is incredibly important. I'll just say, we could talk about this as a separate item unto itself, but I will say that at the Arlington County website, if you type in anything, overdoses, treatment, or the Arlington Addiction and Recovery Initiative, or AARI for short, you can find a wealth of resources that are available and also a listing of the things that we're doing to do what we can to be hopefully better at providing opportunities, harm reduction, prevention overall, but also connecting people to the resources that are available if they or someone that they love is in the throes of addiction. We'll go next. The rest of the calendar year, and you'll note this slide, my goal was to see how many abbreviations, initials, and acronyms and jargon I could put on one slide. How did I do? Did I do all right? All right. I was proud of this. So one of the things that we invite you to do, and it's good to see Delegate Holt here this evening, as an annual line of business, we coordinate on sending to our General Assembly delegation, as well as providing for everyone who participates in session a list of our legislative priorities. We're now going through the process of soliciting input on those legislative priorities. So I invite Arlington Democrats, not only as a group, but also you all as individuals, to let us know about what they should do down in Richmond to help us out. So we're doing that input through the fall, the first part of the fall, and sometime in November, or actually, I believe in December, we'll adopt our legislative package, which consolidates all the priorities that we will be advocating for the upcoming General Assembly session. CMRI 2.0 is a response to that big issue of what we do with our commercial weakness in our commercial office sector. So right now, Arlington has a commercial vacancy rate of somewhere around 20-21%. It's near our historic high. It is not very different from what the district and Fairfax are also experiencing. So I'm not sounding the alarm on anything Arlington specific. Those of you who have been around for a while know that we had similar high elevated rates of commercial vacancy 5 years ago or so, which was the result of a few compounding shocks. We had the federal government, which disinvested in a lot of office space in Arlington. We had some other huge commercial leases which expired and people relocated. This is not that. This is something altogether different and even more challenging, quite frankly, because this reflects just the overall weakness in how office space is being deployed and the demand for future office space. It's weak. It's not coming back anytime soon. The adoption of hybrid work options, work from home, means that the demand for space is always going to be different than what we thought when we were planning our communities, our transit-oriented communities decades ago. So adjusting to this new normal requires that we do some change. Some of it we began earlier this year with thinking about how we could allow more uses in our commercial space that were currently restricted because of zoning. So that work will continue, but in addition, we'll also look at other things that we can do on the planning and the zoning permitting side to allow existing office space to be used a lot more flexibly, but also then to speed the amount of time that any kind of business would have to go through in order to implement uses that maybe we hadn't thought about before. And so with this initiative is designed to maximize what we have and to also send a signal that Arlington is a place where innovation is welcome and you can come and you can hopefully utilize that space so we can drive down the vacancy, which in turn reduces the pressure on all of us who live in Arlington to fund our priorities and our budget through our residential real estate taxes. We also have the Forestry and Natural Resources Plan that will be adopted by the end of the year. For those people who are into biophilia, our natural environment, and how Arlington manages its natural resources, this is really great work. It's an element of our comprehensive plan. It's going to consolidate a bunch of stuff that existed in pretty inchoate places throughout our planning process so that we have an updated approach to targeting at least a 40% tree canopy goal in Arlington, but more importantly, and for the first time, making sure that those overall goals are equitably distributed throughout our county so that we don't have areas of ecological opportunity and areas of ecological devastation. That's not good. And to make sure that we're taking our best approaches to ensuring that the benefits of sustainability and managing our natural environment are available to everyone in Arlington, regardless of where they live, is a key goal of that plan. Then we also have the Barcroft Master Finance and Development Plan. At the end, 2022, Arlington, or 2021, Arlington County went in with Amazon and a private developer to secure the future of the Barcroft Apartments, 66 acres in South Arlington off of Columbia Pike. And we are now at the point where there's some plans to begin renovations to some of the older in need of rehab buildings on that property, and also to set the stage for how we are going to pursue the terms of that agreement, which, to remind you in brief, of the 1,300 households that live there, we have a no displacement policy. So none of those legacy tenants will be forcibly displaced as part of this, which requires that we meet their ability to pay rent based on where they are, not based on what the market bears. It also has a covenant for 99 years of affordability for at least 1,300 units on the property. A lot of other stuff In order to make that work, we have to execute a financing and development plan, and we're gonna want to get that done this year so that significant work can happen next year to begin the rehab of that property, recognizing that delay because of the high interest rate inflationary environment just means more money and diminished ability to accomplish what we want. We have the collective bargaining agreements with our service and labor and trades group. We have police and fire who've already had their CBA ratified, and now we have negotiations ongoing with the third cohort of county employees, which include our public work workers, as well as other more blue collar type employees scattered throughout the county government. We look forward to a successful completion of that in the coming months. And then we'll be setting the stage for the FY25 budget through our closeout of the books for fiscal 23, figuring out any extra resources that we can allocate for priority needs, and then setting the stage for the budget next year. I'm not going to be there, but I will say, one of the things that we're going to talk about, just so nobody can ever feign surprise, at least, my goal is to always make sure Democrats are the most in the know. We are going to have to address this fundamental question of expectations of the community, flat revenues, and more expenses. The tools we have to do that are either cutting severely or raising revenue or some combination. Just want to put that in.
It's
All right.
Put it out.
Just put it out.
Tax-
It's time to raise taxes in Arlington, real estate taxes in Arlington. We haven't done it in a number of years. And while everyone who pays real estate taxes has had to pay more because of increased real estate values, we've kept taxation levels flat, particularly during a time when it was difficult to do so, and not every municipality did so. I believe in order to maintain the kind of service delivery that we have in Arlington, it's going to be incumbent on us to raise real estate taxes. That said, I'm not signaling that I'm going to be a champion for everybody having a bill that's, $1,000 or more more than what they're paying this year. It's not going to require that. But the whole idea that we can get the same level of service without paying more, not going to happen. So, plan length, this is the big one. This is the big one that we're going to be tackling with a request to advertise this month, and then also adopting the following month in November. This is setting the vision for the Langston Boulevard corridor. We can change the slide, and I'll go through these briefly since I know many of you are following and interested in this, and these are materials that are available on the web and have been for quite a while. But the basis for planning Langston Boulevard is that the status quo is not tenable or just or desirable anymore. Langston Boulevard is not fitting the vision of urban villages that we have in Arlington County, even though it's got the basis for moving more people with transit and accommodating more density. It's not doing so. And if we just allow nature to take its course for things to redevelop kind of under by right authority, the community is not going to get what it needs from this very important strategic place in our community. And certainly as we think about our housing goals and making sure that as we grow in accommodating more population, that the housing meets their needs in terms of types and affordability. Without planning, it's not going to happen. So we've had this effort that we've been undergoing for the last 3 years. It's ready to be completed. We'll move next. And what's going to happen with Langston Boulevard, the draft plan endeavors to improve our ability to have a sustainable corridor, to make us more resilient to climate change, to accommodate and mitigate the known issues as it relates to stormwater management, also bringing equity in terms of what we're able to do for small businesses and what we're able to do for housing. And we also want to make sure that this corridor becomes something that's less auto-centric the way it is now, and provides more of an opportunity for people who want to reduce car trips and who want to make transit their primary mode of moving, along with walking and biking. So those are the sort of broad goals and what we intend that it will look like sort of as it moves forward. Next is focusing on key priority nodes along Langston Boulevard. So if you'll just take a look here, we're not talking Roslyn, but we're talking here, moving just before East Falls Church, taking advantage of the major activity centers that exist already along Langston Boulevard and providing an opportunity for increased heights and densities to accommodate a mix of uses. And, you know, in real planning jargon, it gets into all of the places that we want retail and how we want step downs and setbacks to respect the existing built environment. But really taken at its core, what we're hoping is that over time, over the next 30 years or so, next slide, what we have on Langston Boulevard is less what we see on those top images and more of what we see on those bottom images. And that planning process, again, at our next board meeting in October, we're gonna go through the details as we advertise this for hearings next month in November, and ultimately, I hope, adoption. And I don't wanna sort of leave you with this overall impression that it's all doom and gloom. We do actually have some good things that should buoy us as we move forward. Next slide. Arlington County was recently named one of 4 communities in the world in the updated version of the U.S. Green Buildings Council's lead for cities and community scorecard. We are one of 4 platinum communities, the highest level that they award. And even though it hasn't been, I haven't seen the paper to document it, it's been told to me on good authority that of the platinums, we were the most platinums. Most of, I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna make it a thing. We're the most platinum of the platinums. And, you know, awards are nice, and this is great. You know, Paul Ferguson, during his tenure on the board, really ushered in Arlington embracing sustainability and working with the Green Building Council and using LEED as our guide, and we made great strides over the years. This is not just about, you know, giving us a little pat on the back. What it means at its core, just to let you all know, this is the sort of best in class evaluator of how communities are working towards environmental sustainability, managing their open space environments, reducing energy use, providing for solid waste management, providing for equity and making sure that these are not just in limited areas. And, you know, they're kind of the gold standard or platinum standard, if you will, for how to evaluate communities and benchmark their progress. And they get more rigorous over time. It's not just that, you know, hey, you win this thing and you're good. They update this periodically with more rigorous standards, and we earn this based on the most rigorous standards that they have to date. And it's something that I think we all in the community, not just government, should feel good about. And then the other thing, I just want to say that even though we've got a lot of headwinds, big whirlwinds, I remain confident because Arlington has proven over the years and over the recent past that we can do big things. And I know that there was a lot of division about missing middle and expanded housing options. Regardless of where you fell in that debate, you can't dispute it was a big thing. It was not only a big body of work, but it was a big conclusion. It was a big change. And it was one that many communities, when similarly faced with the prospects of doing it, walk away from because it's too hard. And the fact that we do things, even though they are really hard, or we achieve things, even though they're really difficult to achieve, should give us confidence that even though we've got big headwinds, we can handle it, we can deal with it. And so with that, that concludes my report. And thank you all for your attention.
Anybody have a question for your chair, Stuart?
The question on the clean energy front, in one area, it seems like Arlington's, they made a little step toward more electric buses, as one example.
Yeah.
However, I think we have less electric buses in plans or achieved than Alexandria, Fairfax, also DC, from Belfast and Prince George's. And yes, they're expensive, but on the other hand, have we worked as hard to get grants for these things out of IRA and other sources beyond the county?
I didn't plan to start the discussion. It's a perfect question, because at our next board meeting on Saturday, we're going to be accepting a grant to purchase electric buses. We also are going to be 4 electric buses, and then we're also going to purchase a couple of hydrogen buses. We're evaluating what exactly our transition to a zero emissions fleet should look like. One of the things that, just from the purposes of planning and maximizing resources that we're doing in Arlington, the approach that we're taking, full disclosure, not everyone agrees, but we have perfectly good compressed natural gas buses that are still within their useful life, and that compare to diesel buses, which is what a lot of municipal fleets transition from. They're already significantly more sustainable and better for the environment in terms of an emission standpoint than diesel buses. And so getting rid of those functioning compressed natural gas buses is not fiscally wise as far as I'm concerned. So the plan that we're rolling out, that's also going to be discussed with the transit strategic plan. One of the things that we will do this year that I neglected to put on the slide is sort of showing how that's going to roll out over time. We are going to transition to a zero emission fleet. Exactly what that looks like and on what timetable, we're still refining, but the whole basic point is, as we retire compressed buses from the fleet, they will be replaced by zero emission buses. Whether they're electric, whether they're hydrogen, we don't know yet. We're agnostic as to the ultimate thing. Because remember, one of the big limiting factors into the utility of electric buses is still, because of the utility that is dominant in this area, we still don't have renewable power to power electricity. So the ultimate utility of a ZEB fleet or battery electric bus fleet today is reduced because we don't have the loads to be able to power with renewable electricity. Short story is, we share the same values. We want to transition as soon as possible. And I would encourage people, don't measure us by what you hear from the plans from other jurisdictions. Sometimes those plans don't get realized, number one. And number two, they may be at a different stage of their bus lifecycle development. We're doing the same thing. We are not, except for this year when we had to replace some buses on an emergency basis. Moving forward, we are not going to be replacing buses at the end of their life cycle with ones that are at the same level of emissions. It's going to be better. Great question. Thank you. One more?
One quick.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody likes getting their taxes raised, and therefore, is there any room for expenses cuts? Like, do we need an extra speed bump everywhere?
That's why I said it'll be a combination of both. We'll definitely go through and scrub the budget for savings, but I don't want to give anybody the impression that there are enough savings in the budget to also deliver the same level of service that I think people are accustomed to. So don't think of it as a binary challenge. Challenge board members to come up with solutions that marry acceptable cuts in service with, modest proposal stories revenue if we're going to continue to do the things that we are known for doing. All right, one more quick one. Corey.
I just was curious, what role, if any, does the opioid settlement funds play in kind of response to
It helps. Those funds, they're part of a class action lawsuits, so they're distributed to many communities. So every dollar helps, but it's not resources that are preventing us from addressing this issue. We actually have a pretty comprehensive approach that doesn't rely on settlement funds to execute. Those sort of become the cherry on the top. What we really are interested in, I think, to step up our game at this point, are great ideas from community partners, because let's be real. Government is not necessarily going to be able to reach into all homes and all communities where people may be struggling with needing support and needing help. So we definitely need to step up our engagement with community organizations and community leaders to reach those folks. You know, the young man who recently died at Wakefield High School, Jorge Rodriguez, you know, I had a chance to visit with his mom. And one of the things that was tragic beyond just the fact that he died was that he was engaged regularly, daily, in an after-school program. He had trusted adults in his life. He was connected at school. He had a family that he knew loved him. And nonetheless, a tragedy happened. And so I don't say that to say we throw our hands up, nothing can be done, but I think it's an eye-opening point to recognize that it's not a program or a speech that can change this. We've really got to be able to figure out how to get at people wherever they are in as many ways as possible if we're going to reduce this. Because, you know, unfortunately, the thing that seems rational to most of us, you know, knowing that one lapse in judgment, one mistake due to the stuff that's out there in the street can cause you a loss of life, that's not enough of a deterrent, or it doesn't seem to be enough of a deterrent. So we've got to figure out what else we can do. Thanks, Corey. All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Christian Gillis, please. And if you want to recognize the elected officials in the room, clerk of the court, Paul Ferguson, is with us today. Commonwealth Attorney for Vicinity County Cabinet. County Board Vice Chair Libby Garvey was with us earlier, and we dropped off a flyer. She had another event to go to. Delegate Patrick Hope is with us today. AEA President June Burkett is with us today. Recognize our friends also. 8th District Chair Margot Horner is with us today. And just let me know if I missed anybody. Democratic Asian Americans of Virginia Chair Rabin Mann is with us today as well. All right, so we this is a little oddly placed in the agenda, but we did have a resolution to support libraries. That was forwarded from our steering committee on Wednesday, and if you have not had an opportunity to read it, the QR code is there. Andrew?
Well, point of order, our bylaws that were passed, the last bylaws said there was to be a resolution for call to action committee, and that there would be 3 committee members, and
All right, so that is not germane to the resolution on libraries, and that is
it's germane to where that source.
the bylaws say we have a call to action committee that can include resolutions, but we're going to leave that topic for our next bylaws discussion. But thank you for bringing up the point. Do we have a question on the resolution to support libraries?
Is the chairman of that committee here to present it, or are we just to read it?
The chair,
No,
I believe, is-
I am, I don't know if you can hear me. My name's Becky Dick. I am the chair. I'm not able to be there tonight. I'm attending by way of Zoom. I'm happy to answer any questions,
And Becky, thank you for the work that you did on this.
certainly.
Can she present on it, or give a little summary rather than just?
Sure, this is, the current week is Banned Books Week, being celebrated by libraries all across the country. And Brian Atkins suggested that we issue that we adopt a resolution supporting Arlington Public Library because it's been active in this movement. The librarian has publicly taken a position that Arlington Library will be what's called a book sanctuary, be a repository for banned books, and that as it plans its public events, it will include authors of banned books. So they're very much we're working on the protecting the freedom of intellectual thought as reflected in our public libraries. I think it's what they're doing is very consistent with what we believe. And this simply
And we did time this.
it
and-
celebrates their policy.
And timed it with Banned Book Week, right?
Yes, the current week is being celebrated as Banned Book Week across the country. And Arlington is participating in that.
Thank you so much, Becky, for all the great work you did on it.
Any additional questions in the room? Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Ms. Abbott? Thank you, everyone.
Steve, while we're on the topic of resolutions, did that fall under the call to action committee that can have resolutions, or is that something else?
Yes, it did fall under the Cost Action Committee, correct.
As part of the call to action, I submitted a call to action, and it was a kind of a late notice as of yesterday, but that's something we can fit into this meeting.
No, that is not on the agenda for this meeting, but we will take a look at it. Thank you so much for submitting.
One thing that I'd like to point out, if I could though, Steve, is
No,
that actions
so-
require quick action. and
We
wait a month.
need to move on to the agenda.
Very good. Thank you.
Now I want to welcome up our joint campaign committee.
Whoa. All right, I will pretend like I know how the microphone is. Yeah. Welcome. So we are in the beginning of October, which is, I'm sure you know, this very crazy month. Next slide. Earlier, or late last month, on the day that we had a huge tropical storm, we had a very successful distinguished deaf event for Baby Green. Our tournament was really, really great. And Baby seemed to really enjoy herself and wants to send her regards and thank you to everybody who was able to attend and honor her years of service for Arlington Democrats. Next slide. Next slide. So this coming Friday, we have our next Gold Card event. AYD is graciously hosting another bingo night. It will be at the Boardroom in Clarendon. If you guys don't know where that is, we'll send around directions later this week. But it starts at 6:30 on Friday. You can still purchase tickets. You do not need to purchase an entire Gold Card to be able to come, and there are young Democrat rates. So that can all be done at the Gold Card website, which is right there. So we hope to see you all there. And in a couple of weekends, we are really excited to welcome 3 special guests for our Golden Gala. We will be having Senator Louise Lucas drive up. Yeah. And she's the first Black woman and woman Speaker Pro Tempore of the Virginia Senate. We will also have Crystal Spain. She is the first Black woman chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. And we will also have Anderson Clayton, who is the youngest chair in the entire country, and is the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. All of these speakers will be able to speak very well, I believe, to go back inside. To be able to talk about how important it is that we really turn out the vote. We're all in 3 states that have, abortion on the line. North Carolina and South Carolina just passed their own bans, and Virginia is left. We have a lot of the things at stake for our legislature this year, including Reggie, our green policies, including anti-trans bans, education policies. So we need to make sure that we all turn out and get others to turn out. That is gonna be next Sunday. I wanna note that this has been a date change from our original date. It was originally supposed to be Saturday the 14th, but there was a scheduling snafu. And we had to unfortunately switch it to Sunday. If you know anybody who has tickets or a gold card and are planning to come, please spread the word. I hope that we've been able to reach everybody with that news, but you never know. You can still purchase tickets, again, on the Goldberg website, and you can purchase single tickets. I can't imagine a better event aside from maybe the chili cook-off, if you want to come, to during the entire year. So it's always a great time, meet with some special guests, break orders, some drinks. So we hope to see you on next Sunday, October 15th. Next slide. And lastly, I'm gonna get y'all some more money. So, look at that, y'all. He has two main billionaires that have been their reelection campaigns and trying to get a Republican trifecta in Virginia. And I know I don't want that to happen. I know you guys don't want that to happen. But this is the kind of money we're dealing with now. Virginia does not have spending limits, and we have a multi-millionaire, a high dollar multi-millionaire living in our government, who bananas out of all of his connected friends. So this is the fundraising machine we have to work up against. Now, Arkansas Democrats is, fiddly in this, whole universe of fundraising, but I just wanted to show you what we're actually working against. And the money that we bring in as a local committee, not only funds our own stuff, but helps us fund stuff outside of this race, outside of Arlington. It means that more gas money can be given to Beyond Arlington volunteers to be able to get them out to swing districts. It means that we can host better and more frequent events and more fundraisers of our own for candidates who are outside of Arlington's bounds. Now, don't get me wrong, the stuff going on within Arlington is still incredibly important. There's a number of local issues, especially housing and sustainability concerns, that deserve our time and energy to get out for too. But don't look at any fundraising we do as just a matter of, local politics and can we win or can we lose for Arlington. That's not what it is. Next slide. So that said, we have $6,000 left to hit our goal in joint campaign, just 6,000. We've got a month left. So if you have anything to spare, if it's $1, $2, $5, or a lot more than that, and it's what we do. Please donate. We could definitely use it. And it will always be put to good use. Now I'm going to hand it over to Yent, who's going to go over some of our field stuff.
Good evening, Democrats. So, here's the fun stuff. Okay, so meetings and placements are going to happen this weekend. Mary Detweiler has graciously volunteered her driveway, and I think signs are already starting to congregate at her.
Monsanto failing presidential campaign has banned to stop accrediting colleges that have diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. That's something to look forward to.
Those technical difficulties. There we go. Okay, so here's the deal. We need volunteers. We are short of a few drivers. Median routes in Pentagon, in all of Pentagon City and Crystal City are currently not staffed. So if you own a car and if you're willing to spend an hour or two this weekend dropping median signs, placing median signs, Sarah Florence has a sign-up sheet. Please sign up. You can do it at your convenience. You just need to go pick it up at Mary Detweiler's house, and then anytime this weekend, you can just drop them off at all the meetings. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen all your kind of signs out there already. That should motivate you.
Bring a friend and grab a drink. Does anybody able to start this, or should I just send it around?
Yeah, I'll sign up for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll pass it to you next time.
I'm gonna wait up here until you guys sign up, so. I used to be an organizer, this is like. What I used to do for a living, but anyway, thank you, sign up sheet will spread around. Next slide, please. Yes, all right, so we are also knocking doors because early voting is already underway. It's our GOTV canvas. We're trying to turn out every single Democratic voter here in Arlington. And we've already had our first canvas launch this Saturday. Our next one is going to be next Saturday, October 14th. The location is going to be at Michaela Pond's house. It will always be at Michaela Pond's house. It's at Courthouse and it's centrally located, metro accessible. But this canvas launch is going to be at 12 noon instead of our usual start time at 10 a.m. so that we're avoiding collision with the second Saturday breakfast at 11:30 a.m., which I hope to see all of you there as well. Next slide, please. So this is the first launch. Great turnout. Look how much fun we're having. Don't you want to be a part of that? Look at that. Look at all the smiling faces. And we hit hundreds of doors that day as well. And turned out multiple dozens of voters, which considering everything that was happening that Saturday in Arlington, because it was Clarendon Day as well. And we were anticipating the contact rate to be lower than usual, but we got lots of votes out. So every voter that you talk to, that's all they need. Just one little touch and they're gonna go to the polls and you're gonna turn out the vote. That's all the difference it takes. Next slide, please. All right, so for all the high rises that we cannot get into to knock doors, we're going to be sending messenger postcards. This is a postcard mailer version of our messenger, which I know precinct ops chair will be going over shortly after I'm done here. But this is a little preview of the design that we've made, keeping with the theme of our group card, our messenger. We're ordering 10,000 of them and mailing it as soon as the state body comes through. Next slide. Okay, now here comes the fun stuff when we celebrate our victory. I'm not jinxing it, it's going to be a victory. Election night watch party at 7 p.m. until whenever your heart pleases or whenever the location kicks us out. Location is still TBD, but keep an eye out for that. And then I believe the next day we will be resuming an older tradition, which is a post-election lunch at 12 p.m. at Albiet. There will be a sign-up form for that as well, so keep an eye out for that. And on that delightful note, I will wrap up the JCC portion of it and hand it over to our amazing precinct ops chair, Sarah Leonard.
Over the past couple days, or many weeks actually, and I think over the next 33 days it'll be even more. So with that, before I kick us off, if you go to the next slide, we have some folks that I would like to appoint to new positions. We're really lucky to be promoting Maureen Walsh to West Area Co-Chair. And then we're bringing on Karen Olson-Weaver and Sherry Leeds as precinct captains in Shirlington and Lexington respectively. Excuse me there. Can I have a motion to approve these votes? Second. All those in favor? I dare you to oppose, so I'll give you the option. Okay. Big round of applause for these folks. They're gonna help us a lot. And before I move on, I get a show of hands if this is your first Arlington Dems meeting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Everyone who's going to talk after me is great, but you should volunteer specifically with me because we have the best fun. And I'm in this teal shirt and I also have cookies. So find me after this meeting and I can tell you the best ways to get involved. And I can tell you this actually as well right now on the next slide.
Very comfortable students.
Yes, wear comfortable shoes. So this is the messenger. This is the physical copy of the messenger. So again, to leave it to the mailer that we're going to send out. This has hit over 63,000 doors in the last 2 weeks. I'm super, super excited. Yeah. It is a beautiful piece of literature that gives really great descriptions for our candidates, but also wonderful resources about when, where, how, why people should and can vote. And I'm really excited that now there's 6 languages featured on this master. So it takes people to the website where there are ample translation. That's a huge win for everybody in the county. So huge thanks to the JCC for pulling us together and to our over 400 volunteers who have worked tirelessly over the past 2 weeks to make sure that this went out as early in the selection cycle as possible so that people can have this information as soon as early voting started. I know I often think this is so much work, is it worth it? And I pulled it every day last week, and I can say nothing brings me more joy than when I see people pull out the messenger out of their pocket when they go to vote. So it really is worth it, and people rely on it a lot. That said, there will be a mailer version that goes out. It's not going to go out to every single person who lives in a month because that's impossible given our current budget. But I will say, Sarah Thorne said we're $6,000 short of our fundraising goal. And money that you donate there goes to things like this, to mailing the messenger. And that's targeting a really crucial part of our population. People who live in homes are very different from people who live in single family homes. So think about that when you're thinking about contributing financially. And then we also have a digital version as well that I'll be sending out to police captains very soon. It's a digital version of the month. If you want to forward it to friends, stick it on a Facebook link in a Google group. So there's tons of ways that this information can go out. Next slide. Okay, so the big kahuna here, poll grading. I know you're probably thinking, yes, we're gonna win. And I kind of want to count it out a little bit. People, I think, take for granted that Arlington is blue. Arlington is not blue just because it is blue. It is blue because we organize around the clock. It is blue because we have 7 hours. We're at the polls from sun up until sundown on election day. And in order to have that presence, especially going into 2024, huge year, we're going to need to turn out every single vote in Arlington to offset other parts of the state, right? That work starts now. People know that on election day, they can go to their polling place and say, I need the blue thing, and get the sample ballot, right? We have 13 fantastic candidates on the ballot. Personally, super excited to elect Maureen Coffey, Adele, and all the rest of our candidates. But in order to that, we need your help. So we have folks who have signed up already, but getting to that 700 number, especially in an off-year election, is just always a challenge. If you have an hour to spare on election day, if you have 2 hours to spare, 4 hours to spare, find me, find your precinct captain. We can use all of the help we can get. So precinct captain, I see a lot of out here. The deadline for having that poll grader spreadsheet filled out is October 9th, next Monday. But we're recruiting folks up until election day. So find me, and then also bring me the name of a friend, a neighbor, and we can get them signed up as well. We're going to have 8 trainings for these folks. Sometimes we just throw them out at the polls on election day and say good luck. We have plenty of training for them, and it'll be a great opportunity. I think poll grading is my favorite activity. I know I poll graded a lot last week, and it's just really fun to be out there. The energy is great. Helping your neighbors vote to me is my favorite thing to do during the election season. Next slide, please. Okay, so finally, we have a precinct office member of the month who is not here. I don't think I've seen him, but this honor is going to Mike Barola this month. He is a precinct captain in Navy League, which is historically just a nightmare organizing, full of transient folks. So he's done just a fantastic job there over the past few months. His poll grader schedule is almost complete, and that's the best way to make me happy. So I'm gonna have to sit down some cookies. But he's just doing a fantastic job of reaching out to new volunteers as soon as they come in, which is makes my organizer heart happy. So if you see Mike, please let's just give him a round of applause. Maybe we feel And that is it for me. I just gotta say, I'm super excited to elect all 13 of our candidates, but again, we need your help to do it, so come find me in the teal shirt. And yeah, good question, Andrew.
Got an easy one for you. You mentioned you were been doing poll greeting for a couple of days. I'm just wondering what's the turnout that you're seeing?
Yeah, turnout is always slow. The first couple weeks, we have 45 days of early voting in Virginia, so it was slow and it's a little rainy last week. But people are excited to vote, and I know Heather might be able to talk more about early vote voting opportunities in a second, but people are excited. This thing that
Tens, hundreds?
it's 10, it was 10. Yeah. But I'm sure it'll pick up the post to be today. Any other questions? Okay, I'm grabbing cookies. I have a lot. Thanks, everyone.
And let's see, next we got Kevin McCaffrey, voter support.
Thank you. I didn't bring cookies, Sarah, but hey, Navy League, isn't that the one that has like 16 doors and was the hardest to fill last year? You already filled? Fantastic. That's the new me. I helped poll read it there, and I worked with Kevin in one of the back doors. So early voting poll reading, you just heard about poll reading on actual election day. We do have 45 days of early voting poll reading, and we started last week, and it's great. A lot of numbers new came out. We're doing roughly 2-hour shifts, a couple people at a time. But this last week was the easy one because only courthouse was open so far. So now we've hit that first busy week, and we're now getting ready to organize those that last 2-week push. So beginning October 23rd, we'll have shifts again for early voting poll reading, and there will be 3 sites. Not every day, but several days of each of those 2 weeks, all 3 sites will be up and running. So in addition to courthouse, Walter Reed Community Center and Medicine Community Center. In the meantime, we're still having a presence. We've got brand new standard board signs that I and others are putting out every day at the courthouse. It has a QR code. It says, here's our sample ballot. Takes you right to the website. Right to the PDF of that. And in addition, the sign has got grip cards taped to it. And I know the tape because I did it. But that was the plan. If you will put the current year's grip cards on there, you can take a picture if you don't want to use the QR codes. So those are out there at the courthouse. So please sign up for volunteer this. For poll reading, we'll have this, you'll have the grip card, we'll have sample ballots, be there to answer questions, and just as important as Sarah was saying, organize is our presence, just being there. So please sign up. It's on Mobilize. I didn't put a link, but if you at mobilize.us, if you need any help on how to do that, find me. Or contact me and I can put you directly to the shifts that we need. So that's, it takes you to here, mobilize.us. And that's in addition to really voting poll reading, our team has our other important activities. One other thing I want to highlight here is riding to the polls. We do this every election day, and for early voting. So if you or anyone else you know needs a ride to the polls to go and vote, here's how you do it. There's a phone number, or you can remember is rides@arlingtondemocrats.org, or you can find this on our website as well. Okay, thanks. I hope you'll sign up.
All right, thank you so much, Kevin. I think Kip is working his way inside. We'll give him 1 second. I do want to welcome County Board Member Takis Karen Tones. Thank you. And I know earlier we had, we can't get bring coffee with this, so big round of applause for. And Kip, are you with us? Is it right now?
Thank you, Steve Baker. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Excellent. I was just be on a meeting with Pub Dog.
But it's good to be here, with Beyond Arlington and our huge efforts that we, have to do. So just a few slides and a few things to keep in mind. So we've got the email there. Keeping us free in 23 is the tagline, and thanks to, and I'm here, thanks to Richard Skinner and his great work. So, yeah, Richard can't do as much organizing as before because Democrats follow rules and, the rules of this new challenge does limit some of the political stuff that he can do. So, good news is that we got people that can step up and, make this good work happen. So we got just a couple slides here. First one is this. The lessons of Wisconsin. Some of you might remember back in April, we had an election for the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. Janet Protasewicz. We thought it was going to be super close. We thought that, democracy was the same, and it was in Wisconsin. And we ended up winning that race by 11 percentage points. And we did that by the great work of the Wisconsin Democrats. We had people calling the day of election day. I was one of 80 people on a Zoom, all calling into Wisconsin. So we did tremendous work to way overperform the polls, overperform all expectations. So that was a huge victory in Wisconsin for Democratic values. However, and many of you know this, but it's worth reminding you that the Republicans in Wisconsin are now floating the idea of trying to impeach the Supreme Court justice before she even takes office on the Supreme Court. So that is the anti-democratic efforts that are out there that we're fighting against. And of course, they're trying to impeach Joe Biden. That didn't work out for the former speaker. But there's good news out there, and that is the lessons of Minnesota. Because bad news gets a lot more news than good news. I think it is worth reminding us in Minnesota, they have passed a law protecting abortion rights. They've expanded voter rights access. They've set a renewable energy goal 100%. They are doing incredible things in Minnesota. Anyone want to take a guess how many seats the Democrats hold that Senate majority? I see 2. 1. It was 1. 1 seat. 1 seat. That 1 seat, we won by 700 votes. That's how close it was in Minnesota. And so we have the opportunity to have great things happen in Virginia down the line after some governor gets out of the way. But in order to make these great things happen, let's take a look at the next slide. Basically, we need 5 seats in Virginia. At this point, we need 5, and this is the best I can tell. These are among the most competitive. The first thing is, if you feel motivated to make a call, if you feel not motivated to knock doors, if you feel motivated to send a postcard, do that for whichever candidate you want to do that. That is the most important thing. However, if you don't have a particular favorite, I would recommend any one of these 5. And what you see here is that in the state Senate, the 2 highlighted names on the General Assembly, Russ Perry and Josh Thomas, are the ones that are driving distance. And those are the ones, especially Josh Thomas, from all the best information I can get, is that that's a toss-up race. It is a toss-up race. And so for every 40 doors you knock, which is 1 walk packet, for every 11 conversations you have, you got 1 vote that you would have otherwise gotten. And that's how important this can be. And when you get that vote, you say, Andy, that's great that you're going to vote for the Democrats. Can you remind 3 friends and family members to also be voters? So we get that multiplier effect. So these are the races that we can focus on. And as we go through these are carrying over to slides from Richard last month. We'll take a look at greater Leesburg area. So Russ Perry, this is one of the most important Senate races that determining whether we get control of Virginia Senate or not. If Democrats retain control or not, depends on Russ Perry winning. And we need 3 seats in the House of Delegates. If we win either of these seats, especially Rob Vance, we would be in great shape. And that's for Russ Perry, Rob Vance, and Marty Martinez, and that's Greater Leesburg. And that's every Saturday and every Sunday right here through November. And the next slide. So the mobilized link is here for this one. I'll be out there knocking doors on this Saturday. And then on Sunday,
We'll be out in Greater Manassas for Danica Rome, and Danica is looking like she's in pretty good shape, but we never take anything for granted. But Josh Thomas, especially is talked about, and Travis Nemhard is a great candidate. We get either one of these over the line, that gets us to take back the majority of the House of Delegates. So this would be a great one. I'm going to go on canvas for this one on Sunday. So please consider joining us for that. Next up, if you can't canvass, if you don't have the time to drive or get out during the weekends, we do have all these opportunities to make phone calls. And the newsflash, there are people out there that still answer the phone. And guess each and every one of you can bother those people who answer their phone and ask them about who they're going to vote for. And sometimes like, oh gosh, I don't know all the issues. The most important issue, there's an election. You have an opportunity to vote for Democrats and especially to vote against Republicans. So to make a little calendar, every single day, actually we go back one slide. Every single day, we can call for Monty Mason, and this is one of the closest Senate races. This might be just a pure talk Senate race in all of Virginia. That's down in Virginia Beach area, but phone calls, it takes just as long to call there as it does for our next candidate, Russell Perry. And she's doing the calls Tuesday and Thursday. She's going early at 4:30, so we'll be like, you call at 4:30 for 2 hours or an hour and a half, take a break, and then call for Monty Mason for 2 hours. If you want to be like a true Democratic start out with calls for Kimberly Pope Adams down in the Richmond area. She's got calls going Monday and Wednesday, and this is again one of the most competitive House of Delegates seats, and she's a fantastic candidate, and we'd love to get her elected. On Tuesdays, John Thomas, they're making their team's making calls on those days, and so that's also for Danica Rome, but that's a great opportunity. And finally, and shout out to Charlie Conrad, who's been down doing a ton for Michael Fagans. Please give Charlie some help, and Michael Fagans is a terrific candidate, and he too is a great opportunity for us to pick up those seats. So on this next slide, all the stuff that I'm talking about, there's a little one page right up of it all with links to all the canvassing sites. Please sign up if you feel motivated to defend democracy, to defend abortion rights, to defend voting rights. Please join me, make some calls, knock some doors, do some postcards, do something to make and bring democracy home. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kim. All right, I got the page open, so I'm gonna sign up as soon as I can. Let's see, next slide. Again, let's welcome up outreach.
By the way, can we just all admire Alexander's student right now? I just noticed it's fantastic. I want to get it, where did you get it? Okay, hi, my name is Sigita. I am the chair of outreach and visibility. This is Alexandra. She is the caucus co-chair, and we oversee outreach, all of the caucuses. Next slide, please. As you know, September and October is National Hispanic Heritage Month. We will touch on that in the next few slides. Next slide, please. This month is also the National Disability Employment Awareness Month, NDEAM. This is taken directly from the Department of Labor's website. Next slide, please. Okay, so some recent events. You want me to come on? Sure, yeah, please. Come on, Zach. Zach, our festival person. Come on up, Zach.
Thank you, Cindy. The problem with going after Kip is I'm not sure I can match his energy. So very active last couple of weeks. Courthouse in Fairlands Farmers Markets. Thank you to all of you who have contributed, participated. Yes, Beyond Arlington is extremely important, but at these events we're getting volunteers. Those volunteers are engaging in Beyond Arlington and other events and raising money, and that's why that's so important. So thank you. Next slide video, please.
So under outreach, we have a number of boxes. We try to get out to the community and be wherever we can to learn about all of the different cultures. So a couple members of our Interfaith Caucus ventured out to DC on September 10th to participate in the Unity Walk. That's an annual event. It was the first year that I had a chance to participate. It's you know, one side, another party will try to use religion as a wedge to divide us. This is a wonderful event where you go and you can visit lots of different houses of worship and realize how much more we have in common as a human family. And then our labor caucus has been busy supporting our Starbucks workers and have a number of leafleting events outside of different Starbucks stores. So this one was on September 14th in the Clarendon area. Next slide, please.
Let me start by saying Clarendon Day was fantastic. We had beautiful weather. I will say though, the Republicans were there. They had a pretty robust presence, and that's why I was so excited that we had so many volunteers. And thank you all who stopped by and volunteered and participated, to the candidates who made it especially special. Because people love talking to the people they're gonna vote for. So thank you guys.
Next slide. Okay, so we have some upcoming events.
In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, on Sunday, October 15th, before the Golden Gala, we will be having a booth at the Festival Latino Americano. And that's from 1 to 5 p.m. We are still seeking volunteers. I know we are in healthy competition for volunteers because there's so much to do. But if you have an interest in coming and tabling with us, talk to me, or you can email me my ungodly long email address.
Okay, so you all know that usually we have the Hispanic Heritage Month festival, and then the next month we have the Diwali festival. So we decided to combine the two and make it this what is called the Fusion Festival, and I believe Alexander came up with that name. So we are going to celebrate all of these beautiful multicultural events in one day. So we're gonna have food vendors, Latino food vendors, we're gonna have an Indian food vendor, we're gonna have Latino performers, we're gonna have Indian performers. If you've ever been to either of the festivals or both the festivals, you know it's such a good time. And there's going to be food, and there's a lot of talent, but we're gonna have it at Innovation. And there's more info to come. We're still waiting on the graphic, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So please mark your calendar, save the date. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about the Women's Caucus. So as Kip so enthusiastically spoke about Russ and Harry, the Women's Caucus is doing a canvas on the 14th at 10 a.m. Please click this QR code to receive for the address. So next slide, please. And then our very own Brittany is very involved with the Moms Band Action. So they are doing an event on Saturday, 28th at Boston Plaza, and marching in Clarendon. So this is on the 28th at 11:30 a.m. Next slide, please. And of course, we've got Blue Families picnic that was rescheduled, and Melissa here to talk about it.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm one of your Blue Families co-chairs, and as you all heard, we had to reschedule the Blue Families annual potluck that we do every year because of the storm. But we have it set up for October 22nd. That's a Sunday, and we're doing it in the afternoon from 3:30 to 5:30. We hope to see everybody there. We'll have Congressman Don Beyer, Delegate Josh Cole, and our local elected officials will be there, as well as some others who have not yet been confirmed. We will have a bounce house and games for kids, and as always, this is a free event. When you sign up on Mobilize, you can use that QR code, you'll get information about what to bring in and how to do that. Yes, it's set up by your last name, and I don't remember exactly how you're setting it up this year, but the type of dish you're bringing, main course versus dessert, will be set up by your last name, and you'll have that, all of that information will be on Mobilize when you sign up, or in an email you will get for confirmation as soon as you sign up. Okay, also for Blue Families, we've been writing postcards, we've been writing for postcards for a lot of the delegates that Kip mentioned actually, or the races that Kip mentioned. We still have some cards left. Please feel free to sign up. You can use that QR code and just write them and send them out as soon as you can. These cards are really important and they're a great way to do outreach and to help support our candidates outside of Arlington. Thanks so much.
Final plug. I don't need to say anything else. If you're interested in farmers markets, please come talk to me.
Thank you so much. Please come to our vision festival. It'll be so much fun. We're still in the early planning process, but it's gonna be so much fun. We'll have like there, we'll probably like get packets to take because it's GOTV time. So we would love for you all to come and support outreach, support the Latino caucus, support the AA and HDI caucus. So yes, Andrew, you have your
Yes.
arm raised.
Is the chair of the Labor Caucus here or?
No, Pete is not here. He had, as Dr. Alexander had an update.
Do you have any updates on, or any thoughts about UAW strike and supporting that?
Sorry, I haven't seen any email exchanges within the Labor Caucus listserv on that yet. Yes, this is there.
Yeah, I know that Judy Diamond and Noble Labor, you can reach out to Judy Diamond, they might be doing their advanced to Winchester, you know, they're doing the picket lines every day from 6 a.m. to midnight, I believe, and they're welcoming anyone to bring them into the way for between like tax or better than the striking. Yeah.
Thanks, Tara. Good question. Oh,
Hello, just plugging in, I was unable to speak in because of audit season at work, which is fun. But I'm the vice chair of the disability caucus, and October 22nd, we will be having our meeting. And what's going to be discussed, a call to action about an upcoming updates to Social Security disability income, but unfortunately Congress does not have a speaker, so I have to redo my entire agenda. We're going to be discussing the upcoming legislative agenda for Richmond. Hopefully we get our Democratic majority back, so we can start passing bills and improve the lives of people with disabilities. So that'll be October 22nd by Zoom and a Facebook event. Don't see and New York president, so there's you. So rolling in, also serve as the party representative for Arlington Dems. And I'll pass it over to the president.
hi, everyone. I am the president of the Arlington Young Dems, and thank you. So next slide, please. All right, so September was pretty busy. We had several campuses. On the 9th, we were over in Prince William County for Danny Marone. On the 16th, we were out in Loudon for Russell Perry and Marty Martinez. And then on the 20th, we had a foreign policy forum that was put on by our Veteran and Foreign Affairs Caucus co-chairs, and it was very successful and we learned a lot. And then September 27th, we had a really successful happy hour. It was a Nova Young Devs happy hour over in Alexandria. It was co-hosted with Alexandria Young Devs and Fairfax Devs. And we had several electeds come out, including Alonso Lopez and several of the council members of the Alexandria City Council. And then on the 30th, we also went back over to Prince William County for Dan Corona again. Next slide. So upcoming dates, obviously, as I mentioned already, but Oktoberfest is this Friday over at the Boardroom in Clarendon, and it's 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Sorry for that little typo there, but you can still buy tickets and you can scan that QR code and buy a ticket. So do so if you want to join. There will be bingo and there will be prizes, so it's gonna be a fun time. And then on the 12th, we're going to have a pre-BAYD filmmaker canvassing training at 5:30 p.m. via Zoom. And then on the 23rd, we're going to have our annual Halloween happy hour over at Freddy's. And make sure to stick around afterwards for Freddy's karaoke. And of course, the weekly canvases, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide. So the canvases that we have coming up this weekend, we're going to Richmond with BAYD. And then next weekend, we're gonna be here on our home turf in Arlington for the JCC Arlington DOTV canvas launch. And then on the 21st, we're going over to Fredericksburg for another BAYD campaign invasion. And then on the 28th, we're going back to Loudon with BAYD again. We'll also be going to Hampton Roads the week before the election as well, which is a rescheduled canvas from the tropical storm canvas a couple of weeks ago. But if you want to sign up for any of those, you can use the QR code right there. But I think that is all of our updates.
Yeah, and just looking at Oktoberfest is a gold card event, so if you purchase a gold card, thanks in advance, your funds help us fund all of these canvases we have. I'm sure our drivers are compensated by gas, and if you haven't bought a gold card yet, I encourage you to do so. We appreciate the support. And then quick plug for the new folks here, if you're under the age of 36. You know, we welcome you to join our organization. We work really hard to build up the next generation of Democratic elected officials, which we can see here in Arlington. That's out on the floor, we're making coffee. They got both flighties that we're excited to see both down in Richmond and up here in Arlington. If you want to be part of our organization, we welcome you to attend. We'll have a couple of events that you can socialize with our membership, and we'll have an update on our socials soon. Just a little bit in that plug, and we don't have any cookies, so I might have to do that next time, Sarah. Other than that, we'll keep it back to Steve.
Big round of applause for all the people that have done it. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. It's 33 days until election day. We do have one announcement. Dorothea Teeters came from Alexandria to tell us about one more event.
Oh, I took a long trip up here for that. And I love being here and I love your school system because I've had success in life because I went through the entire Arlington County Public Schools. And then we had a speech therapist that worked with me from first grade through graduation in 12th grade, where I went from Yorktown when it was an elementary school to Yorktown when it was a senior high school. And I love Arlington, but I'm an Alexandrian. Okay, this is tough because you've been asked to go to so many good, powerful events here in Arlington and here throughout Virginia to fight yoking and misrepresentations. And personally, I think fascism. But I'm here for something else, more of a long term. I'm here for the National Center for Women's Innovations. And as your county board chair said, Mr. Dorsey, about innovations, and sometimes when we have really problematic situations of black money and more expectations, well, in the past, women have stepped up and they've done things and they've invented things that they've never gotten any credit for. And I'm here for our fundraiser on October 27th, however bad day and a bad month to ask for something other than giving money to Democrats. But please see me afterwards. Please check this out. This is October 27th. It's a fundraiser at Ritz-Carlton, Pentagon City. I'm fed up with Republicans and big donors acting as if Republicans are successful business people. We don't have a recession now because minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses and immigrant-owned businesses and those small businesses. I'm having a Democratic ticket. I apologize, a Democratic table on October 27th, and I want some people from Arlington to be there with me. So please see me, please check out the National Center for Women's Innovations. When those people from Boeing and Amazon and the bank entities and Virginia Tech come, I want them to see the Democratic table. And I want them to know that Crystal City and Arlington and Alexandria is Democratic territory, and we're successful because we're Democrats, and to pay attention to us, and they just don't open their pocketbooks to Republicans. So please consider it.
Thank you, Dorothy, and remember 33 days to election day. If you haven't voted, please vote. If you haven't volunteered yet for a canvas shift, please canvas. If you haven't phone banked yet, please phone bank. Please see Sarah if you want to sign up for a shift at the polls on election day. Thank everyone for being here. Please remember the parking lot. I think they tried to close the garage and quarter till. So thank you, everybody.